What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Jaya. I put out videos on every Wednesday and Sunday on bookish related content. So if that sounds like something you might enjoy, you're definitely in the right place. Today we're going to be talking about one of my surprisingly favorite authors. I didn't know how I would feel about this particular author because romance as a genre, I think, can be very hit or miss depending on what the book is, what the theme is, and I absolutely normally adore Ali Hazelwood, but the recent books that she had put out, specifically, what was it? What is it called? Something summer romance, that one, as well as the problematic summer romance, that is what the book is called, as well as Deep End, as well as Not in Love. All three of those books were like kind of misses for me, which is really interesting because Love Hypothesis was probably one of my favorite books of all time. So I was a little hesitant going into this particular book because I wasn't sure where I was going to skew on my Ali Hazelwood radar, because Not in Love was like 2 stars for me. Love Hypothesis was 5 stars for me, and everything else has kind of fallen in the middle. But Ali Hazelwood has actually written a paranormal romance before, which was Bride. And I read this last year and I absolutely loved this book. So when I found out she was going to be writing a sequel, Mate, I had to pick it up. And I have since finished the book. So let's talk all about the series. It's reading time here at J-Bay's Corner. Before we jump into it in even more detail, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about Bride first, and then we'll get into Mate, because as I said, this is going to be more of a series review. But to give an idea, basically in this world that she has created, you have a group of vampires, you have a group of humans, and then you also have werewolves. And then within each of these different species, you have political plays that are taking place within the various species as well. So you have vampire clans, you have werewolf territories that are kind of like based on location. So you have a south, a north, like a west, like that type of thing. And then you also have humans, which are just living as humans do with their various nations and all this other stuff. Now, back in the day, all 3 of these species used to live in harmony, theoretically, but now there is complete political angst between all 3 species. In the story of Bride, we are basically following our main female character, Misery, who happens to be a vampire and also happens to be a royal vampire who is the daughter of the current reigning vampire in that vampire hierarchy. And she was basically given to humans as a peace method to grow up amongst humans in order to better understand human beliefs, human philosophies, human culture, and kind of be an olive branch between the vampires and the humans. Now, the only thing that was tricky about this is she didn't get much relationship with her actual vampire family. And she was never quite accepted by humans. So because of this, she's kind of an oddball. She doesn't really know where she fits in. She feels more comfortable around humans and human, like, jobs and things like that. But again, humans see her as an enemy or something they don't understand, so she doesn't quite fit in there. And with the vampires, she just feels very, very uncomfortable. There's only one person that she absolutely loves and cares about, and that is Serena, who was a human girl that she grew up with when they were going through this program of trying to basically show that different species can get along and live together in camaraderie. Unfortunately, at the beginning of this book, her friend has gone missing. And so she is basically told that she will be marrying the werewolf alpha of the Southwest Pack, and that she is expected to go into this marriage in understanding that by creating a bond between werewolves and vampires, we are showing that the species can live together. And so the story is basically following Misery kind of going through this journey of trying to figure out where she fits in and seeing if, like, her sacrifice to marry a werewolf, who is something that she's never been exposed to, nothing she's ever comfortable with, that has been a sworn enemy of her kind, is enough to create peace between the 2 species, but also to be able to utilize her connection to the werewolves in order to find her friend Serena, who is the only person she truly cares about, her sister from different blood. Like, her entire family is wrapped up in this one person and she's gone missing. So she's going to do everything in her power to find her friend Serena. So that's basically the gist of this book. We basically follow the romance between Misery herself and Lo, who is the head alpha of the Southwest Pack. He's very young. He's only in his 20s. He kind of inherited that role a little prematurely. He was trained under the Northwest Alpha, who is Cohen, and he's kind of running a very tight ship. Now, amongst all of this that's happening, they find out that there's actually half-breeds that have been made that have never been heard of before. So Misery, while she's in the presence of Lo, finds out about a young little girl named Anna. Now, this is where the story gets a little bit interesting because we find out that Anna is actually half vampire, half werewolf. And so she is one of a kind. And we see Misery kind of slowly sinking into this role of being a vampire that's married to a werewolf. As the story continues, we see the romance starting to be like coming of fruition between Misery and her werewolf spouse. We also get to see a little bit more of the hierarchies within this world. There's a lot of turmoil that takes place. There's a lot of people who don't accept the marriage between Misery and the werewolf, and we kind of get to see Misery navigate this entire thing. There's vampire craziness that ends up happening, and eventually Misery and her brother, who is also a vampire, end up in a position where they have to make some fast-paced decisions at the end of this book. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this book, only because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I don't know if that's how the romance was supposed to come across, but I thought it was absolutely quirky, satirical, funny, absolutely amazing to read. The relationship between Misery and Lo, I just thought their banter was absolutely hilarious. I love the deadpan humor that Misery has. I love how sarcastic she is, how dark she is, and yet at the end of it, she has such a heart of gold. I actually really liked the political drama that was happening within the book too. I felt like it gave the book a lot of character, a lot of storyline, made the things a little bit more high stakes, which made it more enjoyable for me. And I like the fact that unlike some of her recent books, Ali Hazelwood in this one not just makes it about physical lusting after each other, but actually goes into character development for both of these characters in order to allow us to kind of understand how their relationships grow. And I really appreciate that. I love a good romance. I don't mind a spice scene, but I need that spice scene to be supported by actual love and care between two characters. And I feel like Ali Hazelwood did that in Bride, and so I really enjoyed that aspect of the book as well. So this was a solid 4-star read for me, and I remember just thinking to myself, oh, it would be so fun to hear more about Serena, because Misery's best friend shows up at the end of this book. And so when I found out Mate was coming, I was like, I must pick up this book. So now let's talk a little bit about Mate. Mate is such a cute book. I will say there are some very, very, very spicy chapters in this book, more so than in Bride. So if you don't want spice, don't pick this book up. The spice is also interesting because we hear a little bit about werewolf anatomy that is different than human anatomy. Anyway, it's just strange, but there's like a solid 3 or 4, no, I want to say 3 chapters that really, really, really delve into that sexual tie between these two characters, which was right around chapter 32 through 35, I want to say. So just putting that out there. You don't have to read it in order to understand the gist of the story, but it is this whole mating thing that happens. Anyways, just putting that out there. Outside of that, I thought the story was absolutely amazing. Serena, just like Misery, is a very interesting character. I like the fact that right off the bat, we find out that she's a pathological liar. She has to lie about everything because she grew up in almost like a human captivity type of situation. She was basically forced to be Misery's playmate. It's a different matter that they ended up becoming best friends and they genuinely created a bond within each other. But the problem is, like, she was always considered the spare. So humans have always looked at her as very dispensable. She is the first of her kind to ever be announced to the world in that she is half werewolf, half human, and she recently discovered this herself. So her entire identity has been uprooted and just torn apart because she's the first one to come on record and announce this to the world. And by doing so, she has painted a huge target on her back. And now humans and werewolves alike, as well as vampires, don't know where to place her or what to do with her or what she means to the hierarchy and the divisions that have been created between these three groups. So she's kind of put herself in an interesting place. Coupled to this is the fact that she's lost her job and she's slowly starting to feel like she's very sick. She's just been told that she has a terminal illness. She doesn't know what to do with herself. So she's just trying to make the days go by. At the beginning of the book, very much right off the first chapter, we find out that Cohen, who is the Northwest group's alpha, who also happens to be the alpha that trained Lo, who we met in the first book, happens to be her mate. Now, he doesn't want to act upon this. He doesn't want anything to change because of this, but he basically comes and tells her, you're going to be under my protection and you should be aware that this is happening. There's nothing we have to do about it, but I'm a big boy. I can control myself. Nothing's going to happen, but you should be aware. So in the beginning of the book, we find out that Misery has kind of been living alone for 2 months. She's basically been in a little cabin, just trying to make it through the day, trying to figure out what's going on with her body and this illness that she's facing, when all of a sudden a vampire shows up and tries to kidnap her and basically sell her for ransom. So Cohen ends up showing up and saving her life. And in the midst of all this, Serena realizes that she's not safe. She also realizes that now that she's painted a target on her back, basically saying that she's half werewolf and half human, that there may be more people coming after her. And the question is Anna. Anna, who is the sweetest little girl that we meet in the first book. Serena wants to do everything possible to protect that little girl and make sure Misery, her new family, her new orphaned daughter that she has taken on as her own, as well as Lo, her husband, are all happy. And she does this by basically pretending like she is perfectly fine and changing the bullet that is on Anna's back and putting it on herself. So Serena is now being targeted. She doesn't know who to tell what's going on in her life. She thinks she's going to die anyways. She's just like, whatever, let's just solve the mystery. In the midst of all of this, Cohen basically says, hey, you're coming with me. You're going to be in the Northwest Territory and you're just going to stick with me. Throughout the course of this book, we also learn a little bit more about Serena's genetics, where she comes from, what her background is, how she ends up being a half-were, who were her parents, all this other stuff. There's certain... There's a plot line here that does involve cult stuff. And so basically she finds out that, you know, there's something going on with this cult and the Northwest Pack. And in the midst of all of this, she is just also trying to figure out what's going on with her body, like why she's feeling the way she's feeling, while also navigating her feelings with Cohen, trying to figure out whether or not he actually cares about her as a person or not. And the romance between Cohen and Serena is very cute to read as well. Serena also has moments of found family in this book, which I thought was very sweet, as she finally realizes that she does fit in with his werewolf pack. It's also really cute to see the reconnection between Serena and Misery, because the entire first book we hear about how much Misery loves Serena, but we don't really get to see the two of them interact. So that was a lot of fun. And I do think that Misery's character and the way that their friendship works in this book is so funny and it's so cute. We don't get too many scenes of the two of them together, but when we do, it's just absolutely adorable and absolutely hilarious. And I think one of the lines that really stood out to me in this book is when the two of them are finally talking at the end of the book, and I have to find out where it is. Okay. She says, so basically, Serena says, I worry anyways. I worry more because I don't know whether, so this is Misery to Serena. I worry anyway. I worry more because I don't know whether you'll reach out to me when you're in need. Listen, you've seen me stuff my bra with math homework. I've seen you with your eyebrows shaved. There's no dignity left between us. We've been with each other at our worst. So this is Misery to Serena. So then Serena says, and now you are at your best, I blurt out, and I don't want to drag you back down with me. Misery, is that what you think? She whispers, that I'm too functioning for you? That I wouldn't want to be with you because? And then to which Serena responds, it's just, I start. But anything I can think of saying feels so profoundly myopic. You have many people who love you now. You're not alone anymore, and I want you to be able to enjoy it without having to worry about your loser, hybrid, unemployed, maybe terminal friend who now has weird mating cycles and is a liability for everyone because of the undiagnosed narcissism in her family tree. And to that, Misery says, I'm not at my best, and I feel alone and insecure and lost all the time. I wonder whether people's lives are worse because of me all the time. Having a vampire mate doesn't buy Lo any favors, and Anna, I have this fucking child who looks at me like I'm a role model. Serena, she's so fucking small, basically held together with spit and duct tape, and one of these days she's going to join a biker gang or ask me how children are made. And I'm ruining her because I forget that I'm not supposed to swear around her. And some classmates at school have been making fun of her for not being able to shift and blah, 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 blah. So it's just such a cute scene because we see the two girls kind of reconnect. And I think that scene in particular really spoke to me as an individual because I recently got married. Well, not recently anymore. We're going to be celebrating our 3rd anniversary this November. Yay! Very exciting. But at the same time, I remember when I first got married and I first got engaged, my friends kind of said the same thing to me. They're like, you know, your life is so busy. You have other things to worry about. Like, you know, you're creating a new life for yourself. You're creating a new community for yourself. You're so happy around your husband. People care about you. And I remember looking at my friends and just be like, are you guys dumb? Like, are you crazy? Because at the end of the day, no one knows me better than they do. And at the end of the day, like, I love my husband. I love the family we're creating here. I love the community that I'm creating here. I love my in-laws. I love my sister-in-law. I love this world that I've just entered into, and they have been so welcoming and kind and loving towards me. But there's just something special about the trauma bonds you create with your girlfriends when you're younger. Like, I mean, my friend that I've known since I was 6, she's a sister to me. She's absolutely insane and she drives me nuts and I drive her nuts, and we are such different people, but at the end of the day, we love each other so dearly. And the thing is, at the end of the day, if anything were to happen, if anything were to go wrong, I know I can go to that girl. I know I can go to her at any point in time. My 2 best friends from high school, like, I love them to death, and I cannot imagine my life without the 2 of them in it and everything that they represent to me. And similarly, my best friend from medical school, she and I have been through so much together, just in terms of life timelines, from going through medical school, the trauma of that, the residency trauma, and then finding our now husbands around the same time, dating them for around the same time before we got engaged, going through marriage preparations together. Oh my gosh. Like, I think marriages are beautiful. I love love. I am so thankful to have a husband, but wedding planning is the bane of my existence. And it was hers too. And just going through that experience together, like, I can honestly say that your girlfriends, they offer a very, very true, special bond between the 2 of you that cannot be replaced by anything or anybody else. And I don't think there's ever a point in time where I don't value those friendships. And I know all of us have hit a point in our lives where we've questioned whether we're bringing someone else down with our feelings. And I just think that sentiment of, you know, wanting your friend to be happy, but also not knowing where you belong, watching their life change and not being on the same page in that journey, it's such a very relevant thing that happens in real life. And I just think Ali Hazelwood did such a phenomenal job capturing that. Like, I can honestly say the relationship between Misery and Serena was what cinched this book for me. The romance was great. The other drama was great. The crazy things that happened in the book, the high stakes, the kidnappings, all that stuff is so much fun. But that relationship, that friendship that is described in this book is a whole nother level of amazing. All this brings me to say that both Bride and Mate were absolutely phenomenal books. I genuinely enjoyed them. I think they're the perfect blend of romance, paranormal, and mystery combined together. I think that it was the perfect blend of satirical and funny and also heartwarming and loving. And I just think the banter between the female male leads in these books is just amazing. The friendships, the found family, everything is there. A little bit of everything for everybody. There's some spice in there for sure that can be skipped if you don't want to read it, but it is there. And the fact that you have to talk about Ware anatomy with the spice was honestly kind of funny. It made it a little satirical too. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in reading, definitely pick these up. I think they're perfect for spooky season, especially with the vampires and the werewolves and the humans and everything else going on. So if you are looking for something fun this October, I think this is a great series to read. That being said, it does bring me to the end of this series review. For you guys that made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me. I love everything bookish and talking about anything bookish, and creating this community and talking about books and talking about fiction brings me so much joy. And I can't thank you enough for clicking on this video and choosing to watch it. For those of you that are new, if you enjoyed the video, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. I usually put out bookish related content every Wednesday and Sunday. Q&A. Sometimes there's some random travel vlogs and things like that that make it to the channel as well, but primarily it is a bookish content channel. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for helping me build this bookish community. It means the absolute world to me. Your support, your love, your comments, your likes, like it means the world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And before I leave you guys today, all I wanted to say is I hope wherever you are, that whether it's morning, evening, or night, you guys are feeling safe, secure, loved, and you're surrounded by love and happiness and joy, especially as we enter into this holiday season. And I hope you guys are having wonderful reading journeys of your own. Definitely leave comments below on the books that you guys are reading, books that you may want me to read or review. I would love, love, love to see them. And if that is something that you guys are interested in, I'm happy to do more series reviews. But until next time, I will leave you guys with all the love, and I hope you guys are doing well. Bye.